You know, there's nothing quite as exciting as hype. You know what I mean? Like the excitement for something new, something you've been waiting for. Maybe a movie that's been in production for a while, the next episode of your favorite anime, a video game that's been announced forever and it's finally coming out. Or maybe you're just really excited to finally try Peking duck after all these years.
Hi everybody, Future Jacob here. So that line I just did about the whole Peking duck, right? I had this great idea to go to a nice Asian restaurant and actually try Peking duck and put that in the video so I could write it off on my taxes. But you know what? I live in the middle of nowhere. It's really hard to find a place with Peking duck, but I did it. I found a place. It's only like 45 minutes away. And so I went there and we ordered appetizers and we got our drinks and then I went to order the Peking duck and guess what? Oh, we don't have that anymore. Well, maybe tell me that before I drive almost an hour to get there and now you're ruining my video.
Hype is not only a great human feeling, but it's an incredibly effective marketing tactic. Companies can use many different tactics to make you excited for things and more likely to buy them. And that's certainly not a bad thing. Showing new trailers, new gameplay footage, you know what I mean. Unfortunately, it's not all good. Sometimes companies go too far or fail to deliver on their big promises, and it can really damage a game's reputation before it's even done being made. But hype isn't just a company marketing tactic, it's also a social one. Your friends can give you great recommendations for new games to play, and that's great. But sometimes they can overhype things for you, and that can lead to unrealistic expectations. Which means no matter how good the game ends up being, it can still end up with a negative stigma. Yeah, it was great, but I expected more. Hi, I'm Secret Agent Jacob, and for today's Top 10, I wanted to explore this idea. To sit down and think about any games I've played that just didn't live up to the hype. Whether that's because of marketing, or friends, or whatever. Any reason is valid here. And that's not to say any of the games on this list are bad or anything, it just means that I felt that the game didn't live up to the expectations that I had in mind. Also, I know it's obvious, but I have to say it, these are just my thoughts and opinions, and your experiences with these games could be drastically different. So without any further ado, here are my top 10 games that didn't live up to the hype. So here's the thing about Fallout and myself. My first Fallout game was Fallout 3, and you know what? I really liked it. And then New Vegas came out, and I really liked it. And then Fallout 4 came out, and I didn't like it as much, actually. But it was still good. And then Fallout 76 got announced. And not only was it going to be multiplayer, it was going to be based in West Virginia. And I've lived in shitty old West Virginia my whole life. So finally, a big budget video game that allows me to explore some places I might recognize. And to do that in a Fallout game, but with friends? I literally can't stress to you how exciting that concept was. In fact, I was so hyped that I went back and played the original Fallout and Fallout 2. And those games were both excellent. Different, but excellent. And then finally, after however many months of waiting, the day came. I was going to be streaming with a handful of other excited content creators. This was it, finally. Fallout 76 was here. Now, before I go on, I have to say that all of my experiences with this game were at launch. I'm sure it's a very different game now. My God, this game sucks. It was so fucking buggy at launch, which, I mean, it's a Bethesda game, so duh, but still, it ran like shit, it crashed all the time, but hey, if you got it running, you could do super cool things, like check out the in-game shop. There are so many fucking microtransactions, it's unreal. Weaponizing FOMO like nothing I've ever seen, which for those of you that don't know what that means, FOMO is the fear of missing out. Basically, they put something in the in-game shop and they're all like, hey, you better buy this now or you'll never get another chance and you'll regret it. Oh, remember how I was so excited for multiplayer? Well, unfortunately, garbage servers meant getting disconnected constantly. And since it's always online, you can't play the game single player. Like, yeah, I was excited for multiplayer, but I like having options. Maybe I just want to chill and explore alone for a bit. Nope, lol, get killed by sweaty assholes for trying to have fun. Ha 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 ha. Maybe it's just me, but the quest didn't really feel very good. Like, I can't quite put my finger on it, but it just wasn't very engaging. Or memorable. Or fun. And alongside that, in my opinion, the story couldn't hold a candle to the other games, which is a super important part of the games for me. I've gone on about this one for a while now, I know, but God, it was so disappointing to have it launch in the broken and unfun way that it was. Maybe, and hopefully, it's better now, but I really can't bring myself to try again. Yes, Kingdom Hearts 3. Now, I gotta be honest, Kingdom Hearts as a series has always been pretty hit or miss for me. Some of the games were kinda and some of them were quite bad in my opinion. But when they were good, God, were they good! The blend of Disney worlds, Square Enix characters, and utterly baffling storytelling was charming as hell. So naturally, when Kingdom Hearts 3 was finally confirmed after waiting roughly 84 years, I was psyched! This was it! Answers, epic conclusions, gameplay perfected. Well, not quite. Don't get me wrong, Kingdom Hearts 3 looked gorgeous, and the Disney worlds were visually stunning. But that story? I was so ready for closure, but instead I got more convoluted plot threads and way too much friendship is power cheese, even for Kingdom Hearts standards. The fact that Kingdom Hearts 3 is the 9th game is very telling of how convoluted this series can be. And the combat? Flashy, sure, but it felt way too easy and gimmicky compared to the series' best moments. It also felt kinda disconnected? The Disneyland park attractions are fun, like twice, and insanely overpowered. Also, can we talk about this game's pacing for a second? It has some of the worst pacing I've ever seen in an RPG. The game is pretty linear, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but here it just feels... I don't know. It feels really off. Like, look at Twilight Town. You remember Twilight Town? Of course you remember Twilight Town. It's here in Kingdom Hearts 3 as well. And it's very pretty, but it is completely irrelevant and tiny. Every other world in the game is huge, and actually, you know what? There's another problem. The worlds are too fucking big. Like, almost every world is huge, and that is a problem. They are big, but they are empty. There is nothing to do. It's not fun to explore. Almost every world is so isolated, too. Plot-wise, Like, you go to the worlds and you do things, but none of it feels like it matters to the overall plot. And then the last few hours of the game try to wrap everything up at Mach 4, and you're just like, huh? And where the hell is all the Square Enix stuff? Where's all the Final Fantasy characters that make the Kingdom Hearts series delightfully varied? I had fun, but it left me with a gnawing feeling of, that's it? After nearly 15 years of hype. And that's probably what hurts most of all. I don't think I'll ever play it again. But I do know plenty of people that enjoyed this one. Where do you sit? Do you love it? Do you hate it? Or are you somewhere in between? Now, while you ponder that, I'm going to move on to the next one I think we'll be in agreement on. One that is crazy fun to play, but misses the mark everywhere else. I'm talking, of course, about... Next up, Metal Gear Solid 5. I'm a huge Metal Gear fan. I love the stealth, the crazy Kojima narratives, the weirdly meta storytelling. So naturally, Metal Gear Solid 5 was my holy grail. An open-world Metal Gear? Hell yes. But man, that hype balloon deflated quickly. Gameplay-wise, it is legitimately incredible. Some of the best stealth mechanics ever. The freedom you have in how to approach each mission is truly next level. And the detail in how enemies react and adapt is fantastic. But you know what wasn't incredible? The unfinished hollow story. Phantom Pain indeed. Missing chapters, obvious cut content, and an ending that landed with the grace of a drunk elephant. I mentioned the gameplay was incredible, and it is. But after a while, it gets really repetitive. The side ops all feel super samey too, and playing his boss here is such a waste. He's so bland. Like, he barely feels like a protagonist. I'm sure most of you heard of the issues the game had because of Konami being Konami, and the short version is they fucked over Hideo Kojima and basically kicked him off of his own project, hence it feeling unfinished. The game constantly felt like it was building towards something big, only to abruptly halt, leaving huge plot threads dangling unresolved. Hell, the beginning of the game had such a great potential setup, and I couldn't wait to see where it went, but it doesn't really go anywhere. I had so much anticipation, only to feel like I'd played half of a masterpiece. Great stealth, not so great closure. The disappointment here genuinely stings. Adding in mechanics that require X amount of real time really pissed me off too. Like, that's mobile game shit. Get it out of my AAA console and PC game. But of course, Konami gonna Konami. I will never forgive them for the PT stuff. You know, Silent Hills that we'll never, ever, ever get, ever. God, now I'm upset. You see what I mean? Game companies need to really get their shit together. Anyway, sorry, starting to go on a tangent. Let's move right along to one that's going to be very different. See, for Metal Gear Solid 5, I think we can all pretty much agree that it didn't live up to the hype and has boatloads of issues. But this next one, I think this might be the first one I'm properly in the minority on. I hope you're ready. Here we go. Okay, hear me out on this one. The Last of Us is a masterpiece, right? Everyone tells me it is a masterpiece. Best narrative ever, they say. But here's the issue. When literally everyone hypes up something as the greatest game ever made, expectations get crazy high. And when I finally played it, yeah, it was good. Beautiful graphics, intense narrative moments, and incredible voice acting. Joel and Ellie's relationship is fantastic, and some sequences are genuinely unforgettable. But gameplay-wise, it felt pretty familiar. Sneak around, throw bricks, stealth kill, repeat. Combat scenarios became predictable after a while, and while the tension was high, the loop started feeling repetitive about halfway through. Another thing that kills me about The Last of Us is the overall premise. People act like it's a totally new concept and wow, pow, ka-chow, but like, hello? It's fucking Resident Evil. Come on. That isn't really a ding against the game normally, but it kills me that people act like this game is just so unique. It's really not. Again, that doesn't make it bad, it's just irritating how people act about it. The way people act and fandoms as a whole will certainly be a recurring theme for this video, so get ready for that. Again, I can't stress how good the acting and writing are in this game. Both are genuinely excellent. Hell, The Last of Us even got a proper TV show, and I hear it did quite well. I'll get around to watching it soon. And really, that's even part of the problem for me. The game was super highly rated. It got a sequel, it got a TV show, and I'm here on the internet shitting on it. It almost makes me feel like there's something wrong with me. And that pisses me off that much more. I guess if I had a proper criticism of the game rather than just the fandom, it would be the pacing. Maybe it was oversold to me, but the pacing just didn't hook me the way everyone insisted that it would. Well, actually no, not even that. The way the game uses the passing of seasons to justify increased relationship closeness is honestly nothing short of genius. I guess at the end of the day, there really isn't anything wrong with the game. Like, at all. It's still a great game, sure. But the insane hype set me up for a slight letdown. Please don't kill me. Halo 5 was supposed to save Halo. After the mixed reception of Halo 4, everyone said, this is it! Halo's glorious comeback! So I went in expecting greatness. What I got instead was the gaming equivalent of unseasoned chicken. Edible, but painfully bland. The campaign barely had Master Chief, which, hello, is kind of important, and instead focused heavily on a character, Locke, that felt incredibly generic. The story was borderline nonsensical, bouncing around in ways that made it hard to follow or even care about what was happening. Those big emotional moments that were clearly meant to resonate deeply with longtime fans just fell flat. Multiplayer was solid enough, admittedly pretty fun, but Halo was always about that epic, memorable single-player journey for me. Instead, I got a forgettable campaign and felt like I was just going through the motions. Such wasted potential, especially after the promises and trailers that built expectations sky high. And I'm certainly not alone in feeling this way if the overall reviews are anything to go by. The backlash for the story actually made the developers change their roadmap for the next Halo game, which annoyingly would be called Halo Infinite and not Halo 6, but whatever! Clearly I don't know anything about naming things, and Microsoft is just the best! Fucking Xbox One? What a stupid name for a console. God, anyway, actually, while I'm yelling, how about Cortana? My fucking AI wife is the fucking villain? What? And then Microsoft was like, here, let's put her on Windows as a search function. Oh, good idea, Microsoft. Make all copies of Windows come with a villain pre-installed. Actually, now that I think about it, considering Windows 11 is a virus, this makes a lot of sense. Anyway, as you can clearly see, Halo 5 pisses me off. I didn't like it. I always skip it when I'm replaying Halo games. And why the fuck is it not on PC? You know what? I don't care anyway. We're gonna move on to the next one because I've wasted enough of my life on this damn game. Look, I know. Red Dead Redemption 2 is an objectively good game. Visually stunning, immersive, detailed to a fault. Literally. It's so detailed, in fact, that it felt like a chore sometimes. You know, hype had me believing this would be the perfect open-world experience, the absolute pinnacle of gaming. But in reality, I spent a lot of time riding slowly from point A to B, accidentally bumping into NPCs and instantly becoming wanted for murder. And don't get me started on the excruciatingly slow animations for every action. Skin an animal, set up camp, even looting a body took forever. I mean, great realism, yes, but maybe a little too realistic at times. I appreciate the dedication, Rockstar, but sometimes I just want to play the damn game without every little thing feeling tedious. It's like playing a beautiful, interactive Western documentary, where occasionally fun stuff happens. Again, a great game, but the hype made me expect non-stop cowboy excitement, not horse brushing, chores, and slow-mo animations. I think what stung a little more for me personally is how much I enjoyed the first Red Dead Redemption. I loved that game. It was so fun to ride around and just do stuff. But that's where Red Dead 2 misses the mark for me. So much tedium. But that's the thing, I know how popular this game is, and I absolutely get it. I see why people like it as much as they do, and I'm legitimately happy for them. But for me, even just because of how slow and tedious the game felt, I can't stand playing it. Which again, really hurts because of how much I like the first one. It's definitely a case of the game itself not really doing anything bad per se, just not being my cup of tea. And honestly, I think that's a lost art anymore. People separating their idea of not liking something with something being objectively bad. You know, I try to be open-minded with most things, especially video games, and if I think something's legitimately bad, I will tell you. But if I think it's good, just not for me, well, I'll tell you that too. And Red Dead Redemption 2 certainly falls in the latter category. You should absolutely give it a try if you get a chance and form your own opinions on it, because there's a good chance you're going to like it. Now, in a very similar fashion, our next one is also very highly rated, but my issues with it are very different. So let's move on to number 4 so I can piss everyone off. Elden Ring is another game that got way too hyped for its own good. Dark Souls, but open world, they said. Sounds incredible, and honestly, it mostly is. The world is massive, exploration is genuinely rewarding, and discovering hidden secrets is super satisfying. But the hype had me expecting groundbreaking, revolutionary design at every single corner. Instead, Elden Ring sometimes felt overly familiar, like Dark Souls but stretched out and sprinkled with grass. Open world fatigue started setting in after hours of riding around aimlessly, encountering repeated enemy types, and navigating vague story hints that were cryptic even by FromSoft standards. Boss fights were epic and memorable, sure, but they were often separated by long stretches of relatively mundane exploration. But you know what I think kills me the most with Elden Ring? George R.R. Martin. Oh my God. Every single day I had to hear about, ooh, Elden Ring's gonna be written by the guy that wrote Game of Thrones. Ooh. Oh, really, huh? I sure can't fucking tell. It's another Dark Souls game. It's literally Dark Souls 4. Just with a different name for some dumbass reason. It's not different enough from Dark Souls to deserve a different name. Bloodborne deserves a different name because it feels and looks totally different. Elden Ring is Dark Souls 4. Elden Ring is fucking Dark Souls 4. Why not just call it that? I cannot stress to you how much hype was around this game before it came out. Hell, even DLC announcements for this game are frustrating because, oh, here we go again! And that's not to say that Elden Ring is bad, but it's not what I wanted. I wanted something unique. I wanted something different. If I wanted Dark Souls 4, I would have asked for Dark Souls 4. Instead, I got Dark Souls 4 pretending to be another game. It's kind of like, imagine you open the fridge and a takeout container from a Chinese restaurant is sitting right there in front of you. You're pretty sure there's pork fried rice in there, and now you're very excited for some pork fried rice. But you open it up, and instead, it's chicken lo mein. Like, I still like chicken lo mein, but I wanted pork fried rice. So even though I'm getting something yummy, I'm still disappointed. Fuck, now I'm hungry. Anyway, Elden Ring. It does have its problems, like I mentioned earlier, but it's really just another game where the fandom overhyped it. Incredible? Absolutely. Did it fully match the God tier hype? Almost. But almost is still kind of disappointing when you're expecting literal perfection. And as if to keep the trend going of games that fandoms overhype and act hypocritical toward, let's move on to number 3, with a game that might just surprise you. Okay, before you ask, I do mean the original game, not the remake. To preface this, my very first Resident Evil game was Resident Evil 5. I know, crazy, right? But I loved it. It was so fun, and yeah, I mean, it's kind of goofy at times, but it was a really fun game. But then everyone started telling me, but Jacob, Resident Evil 4 is just so much better than Resident Evil 5 in every way. How can you play 5 and not 4? Resident Evil 4 drives me nuts. It is beloved by pretty much everyone as one of the greatest games ever made. And yes, it is great. But here's the thing. It shifted Resident Evil toward a more action-oriented style. So why does everyone hate on Resident Evil 5 for being action-focused when Resident Evil 4 did the exact same thing first? RE4 introduced quick-time events, plentiful ammo, action-packed set pieces, and far less emphasis on survival horror. and everyone was fine with it. Leon flipping around, suplexing zombies, and pulling off Hollywood-level action sequences? Totally fine. But Resident Evil 5 does essentially the same stuff, just with co-op and in brighter locations, and suddenly it's trash? Seriously? And you know what else? RE4 was the game that started Resident Evil's identity crisis. It ditched the slow, atmospheric horror and replaced it with over-the-top set pieces that felt more like a Michael Bay film than a survival horror game. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but because it was the first to do it, people treat it like a sacred cow. Resident Evil 4 is undeniably influential, it's fun, it's well made, but the hypocrisy around it kills my enjoyment more than it should. It gets way more credit than it deserves, while its sequel takes all the heat. Stop hating RE5 for the sins of its predecessor. It's not fair, people. Yes, I know the AI in RE5 was bad, and believe me, RE5 has a lot of problems. Certainly not a perfect game, but oh, wait, I just figured it out. I know why this pisses me off. It's Final Fantasy VIII. People shit all over Final Fantasy VIII because it wasn't Final Fantasy VII 2. Final Fantasy VIII didn't do anything wrong, and immediately people hated it because it wasn't just more of the same. And where's Cloud? I want to play as Cloud again. Now, that's not to say I dislike Leon or anything. I think he's a great protag. And I think Chris is too, boulder punching and all. But I think both are good, not just Resident Evil 4. And again, I want to make it very clear that Resident Evil 4 is good. Quite good, in fact. I'd even say it's an important game overall for gaming as an industry. And the remake is excellent. Hell, all the Resident Evil remakes are excellent. The mainline Resident Evil series is filled with incredible games, front to back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, not you, 7, and 8, all fantastic. And some solid spin-off games, too. I love this franchise. I just hate how much people shit on Resident Evil 5 for doing the very things they praise in Resident Evil 4. And I'm sure a lot of you have a lot to say about this one. And I welcome it. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Just please remember that I do like this game. I don't hate your favorite game ever. I just hate you. JK, I love you. Is that weird? I'm moving on now. This one will come as absolutely no surprise to people that have been around for a while. Breath of the Wild is widely considered to be a masterpiece, a game that redefined open world design, a reinvention of the Zelda franchise. And you know what? I get it. There is a lot to love. The freedom to go anywhere, the environmental interactivity, the sense of wonder as you explore Hyrule. But here's my thing. As someone who grew up loving Zelda for its dungeons, its tools, and its structure, Breath of the Wild felt like a betrayal. Where were the deep, intricate dungeons? Where were the unique gadgets that defined your journey? Instead, we got 4 mildly different divine beasts and a bunch of copy-paste shrines. I mean, sure, the physics-based puzzles were cool, but they lacked that magical feeling of solving a multi-room dungeon with a newly acquired hookshot or a boomerang. Don't even get me started on weapon durability. I mean, why does every cool weapon in the game break after 3 enemies? I mean, I get it, it's a survival thing, but it felt more tedious than strategic. Just memorize where the cool stuff spawns and go back and get more, right? But that's so fucking boring. Also, where the fuck is my music? Yeah, there's a few cool tracks, but overall it's just... The lack of music upsets me more than I can put into words. And the story? Kind of flat. Zelda games usually have this grand narrative adventure that drives you forward. Here it was just go here and remember stuff. Yeah, it's gorgeous. Yeah, it's ambitious, but for all its innovation, it stripped away the parts of Zelda that I personally loved the most. Breath of the Wild is not a bad game. I mean, far from it. But the universal acclaim built a level of hype that it couldn't reach for me. It's the most impressive Zelda game in terms of ambition, but the least fulfilling in terms of soul. And yeah, it got a sequel, Tears of the Kingdom, and people love it. Great, I am super happy for you, legitimately. But it's just more of the same. It feels like a giant DLC expansion, so I still don't really like it, but God, I want to. It's a bit of the Minecraft problem for me, right? So Minecraft is one of the most popular games of all time, and I can't stand it for one dumb reason. That's not the kind of creativity my brain works with. Gathering materials and then building unique, interesting, and cool-looking structures, my brain just isn't wired for that. And such is the case with Tears of the Kingdom. You can build all kinds of super cool stuff, and the amount of admittedly incredible inventions people have made in the game is awesome. I love seeing that kind of creativity. but it's not something I can do. And Tears of the Kingdom makes me feel like it's a requirement. Oh, you better come up with some cool shit. You're gonna need it. Well, I can't. I literally can't. I'm just simply not wired that way. Again, I'm happy for people that like it, but it's just really not for me. And I think that's what breaks my heart. It almost feels like the series that's been important to me my entire life isn't welcoming to me anymore. It's so different that I'm not interested in it anymore. And I can't even begin to describe to you how much that breaks my heart. I mean, maybe I'm being a little overdramatic, but hey, I'm a content creator. I'm allowed to be overdramatic every once in a while. Or every day. Anyway, speaking of being overdramatic, though, I think it's high time we get to my number one pick. I don't have a good segue for this one. Final Fantasy XIV is one of the most beloved MMOs of all time. People adore this game. I've seen the praise, I've watched the trailers, and I've even heard people cry over the story arcs. I mean, I get it. It means a lot to a lot of people. But for me, Final Fantasy XIV was one long, expensive chore. I went in expecting this breathtaking narrative, epic battles, and unforgettable characters. What I got was 60 hours of fetch quests. The early game, A Realm Reborn, is such a slog that I had to force myself to keep going just because people promised it would get better. And sure, maybe it does, but if I have to suffer through dozens of hours before the game becomes fun, I don't think that's a good design philosophy. Combat felt slow and disconnected, the environments, while pretty, did start to blur together. And despite how many cutscenes there are, the story just didn't grab me. Maybe it's the pacing, maybe it's the writing, maybe it's the fact the game feels like it's holding your hand for 100 hours. I mean, I tried. I really did. I even paid for extra months to see if it would eventually click. But the hype, oh my god, the hype, had me convinced that I was walking into the greatest MMO of all time. And when it didn't live up to that, it felt like betrayal. I know people will say, well, you have to get to Heavensward, or just push through. But that's kind of the problem. If I have to push through 100 hours of mediocrity to get to the good part, maybe the game isn't for me. And that's okay. But it's still one of the biggest letdowns I've ever had in gaming. Now, I will say that I did make it to Heavensward, and Stormblood, and Shadowbringers, and Endwalker. And you know what? People were right. It does get better. A lot better. Like, holy shit, so much better. There were parts I legit cried at, and it has some incredible music. But then we run into another problem. The fandom. I heard stories about how loving and welcoming this game's community is, and how it's different from all the other toxic MMO communities out there. And you know what? Bullshit! It is exactly the same. Some good, some bad. That's just the nature of online play, and I would never hold that against a game. But the fandom absolutely refuses to acknowledge this. Their precious game is perfect and has no flaws. Even all the players are perfect and have no flaws. Get the fuck off your high horse. Holy shit. Final Fantasy XIV is a great game, eventually, but it is not God's gift to gaming. It gets repetitive, it gets boring, it gets bloated, the subscription model is deceptively predatory, the player base gets toxic, and while the music is indeed great, a lot of it hinges on remixes of songs from other Final Fantasy games. Now, there's nothing inherently wrong with that. I just feel like people forget to acknowledge the source material. But nothing compares to the fan base. Especially that fucker Lake. Have you seen this guy? Laughing at me all the time? What an asshole. All jokes aside, though, I do see why it's such a popular game, and I'd certainly never fault anyone from playing or enjoying it. I just wish the rabid fan base would admit that there's problems. But really, the game is great. I mean, great music, great characters, way too much fucking reading, and some really cool and interesting bosses. But I think I've gone on long enough on this one, so I think it's time to wrap it all up. I hope this video was more entertaining than it was frustrating. You know, it's tough to talk about games that I know people enjoy in a less than positive manner. But just know that I'll never judge you for the games that you play, and your choices are as valid as mine. But do let me know if there's any games you were hyped for that you felt let down by. I know there's a bunch I couldn't cover today, either because I've never played them myself, or because there's just too many. And as you've come to expect, a huge shout out to my Twitch, YouTube, and Patreon supporters. I'm only able to yell into a microphone and piss everyone off thanks to you. Which really means that this is all your fault and not mine, so I'm gonna leave now, bye.